Hey, 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 we are back. We're back. We are going to get Doug back. No, we're not, but welcome back. We're back with another episode of Eat the Donut. Hey, guys, we're figuring out these intros. It's a one take show. We're figuring it out. We're rambling on, just coming in at a ridiculous angle each time with these episodes, but we're figuring it out. We're learning. But welcome back to Eat the Donut. It's your boy, Daddy Kev. Oh, my goodness. Funny story on Daddy Kev. So as I'm recording this, it's actually January 2nd right now. And I did a end of the year post, a full on 2024 post. And in the caption, I said 2024 brought Uncle Kev, husband Kev, fitness Kev, dancer Kev, loving Kev, adventurous Kev, all these things. And then I said it still brought ... Daddy Kev, because there's an inside joke I have with a lot of my Instagram followers on being called Daddy Kev, because it was about a year or two ago. I was doing a live on Instagram, and as people were popping in, I was just saying hello, hello, hello. And my friend Nate popped on, and I go, "Oh, what's up, Nate?" And he goes, "Hey, what's up, Daddy Kev?" as a joke. And then half of the Instagram following are people who were attending the live started calling me Daddy Kev, and then it became this thing. So when I put Daddy Kev in the Instagram caption, I also, which was not thinking here, followed up with "see you next year," parentheses, had to throw in a dad joke there. Posted it about over the next 30 minutes to an hour. I was getting congratulations and then messages saying, "Hey, are you and Shan having a kid?" And I didn't even think of their perspective of reading that, thinking like, "Oh, I'm going to be a dad this next year," which was not the case. I was just trying to be a funny, goofy, like try to put an inside joke into it that was just not taken the way I thought it was going to be taken. So I was getting all these messages, which I almost did like a public apology, being, "Hey, I'm not a dad. Sorry about that. I'm not going to be a dad yet. I would love to be a dad at some point in my life, but just not yet." And it was just kind of a funny mistake that that I'm laughing about today, but it's also super embarrassed about today. So if you saw that post, I apologize. There is no baby on the way just yet. We are not having a kid. I just thought I was being funny, calling myself Daddy Kev. And then honestly, it put the cherry on top, saying I put in a dad joke there, just thinking I was probably getting practice to being a dad, but that's not the case. Anyways, so we're back, episode 3 here. So today we're going to be going over the next phase of fat loss. So if you listen to the last episode, which if you haven't, make sure you go back and listen to it. In that episode, we go over the first phase of fat loss, the foundational phase, which is a crucial component for fat loss. It's a phase that everyone tends to overlook or not partake in, and is a big, huge reason, probably the main reason why they struggle with yo-yo dieting. They're not doing the inner work. They're not building a foundation with their habits. So make sure you go back and listen to that episode, because that is a crucial part of this, if not probably the most crucial part you have to start paying attention to, is that foundational phase. Because now we get into food and fitness today. So this is going to be a little bit more on the principles of fat loss, your calories, your protein, your workouts, a little bit more maybe behind the science of things that have to be in check in order to lose fat, in order to optimize your metabolism, all that sort of thing. So I'm going to break down how food and fitness sort of work together in what we have to be doing in the, I guess, more of the why behind the principles of these to maximize your fat loss. So let's get into it. So first up, how do we lose weight? How do we get this fat tissue off of our body? In order to lose fat, you have to be in this thing called a calorie deficit. A calorie deficit is king. That is non-negotiable. In order to lose weight, in order to lose fat, you have to be in a calorie deficit. Doesn't matter if you do keto, doesn't matter if you do Atkins, doesn't matter if you do low carb, low fat, high fat, like whatever diet choice you want to take on, the outcome has to be a calorie deficit. So you're eating fewer calories than you burn off in a day. So again, calories are king when it comes to losing fat, even when it comes to gaining fat. If you want to gain weight, you have to eat more calories than you burn off in a day. That's a calorie surplus. If you're maintaining weight, you're eating the same amount of calories you burn off in a day, which is causing you to maintain weight. This is science. This is non-negotiable. So let's break down what a calorie is. So a calorie is just a unit of energy. It's what we use to measure energy. So we've all heard this before, good calories versus bad calories. And this is where I always come in and said there's no such thing as a good calorie or a bad calorie, because at the end of the day, calories are just calories. A calorie is just a calorie. There's nothing good or bad about these calories. Just like how a mile is always a mile, whether you run it on the sidewalk, whether you run it on grass, on a track, in the sand, up a hill, down a hill, a mile is always a mile at the end of the day. Yes, I get it how each mile can feel different. Now that's when we get a little bit more into the nutritional component, the nutritional value that's in foods. But when we look at strictly just calories, a calorie is always a calorie. So whether you're in a calorie deficit from eating chicken, steak, salads, cookies, Skittles, dog foods, donuts, if you're in a calorie deficit, you will lose weight. It will happen as long as your calories are fewer than what you're burning off in a day. Weight loss will happen. Now, yes, the foods you eat can make an impact on things like your energy and your hunger and your digestion. I understand that. But to really, truly keep it simple, as long as you manage your calories, no matter where they come from, weight loss will happen as long as you're in that calorie deficit. So there's no need to call a food good or bad, or call a calorie good or bad, because all calories have a place in your diet. When you have a birthday party, eat the birthday cake. There's nothing bad about it. You're celebrating something. When you're at the holidays, have the cookies, have the ice cream. Enjoy the moment, because food is more than just fuel. Yes, it is fuel. Absolutely. I still think that 80% of the time we should be aiming to eat whole foods, fruits, vegetables, whole grains, healthy fats, lean proteins, because that food will help take care of our health. It will help us feel energized. It will help us manage our hunger. It will give us good digestion. But at the end of the day, when we're looking for this Goldilocks approach, doesn't mean you can't have the cookies and ice cream, the donuts, the chips, because that stuff will still be a part of your life. Again, we're trying to find the Goldilocks between it all. So from this point moving forward, there's nothing good or bad about the calories you eat. A calorie is just a calorie. Now, to find your total calorie intake or your calorie deficit target, here's the equation. Here's the calculation I like to use. And what I do typically for my calculations for all my clients too, is I give them a range, because I feel like a lot of individuals will look at one number of their calories, and if they go 10 calories over, they're like, oh, fuck it. I ruined all my progress for the day. Might as well just keep going banana pants and try again tomorrow, or try again on Monday, or try again next week. When in reality, if you're 10, 50, even 100 calories over, that actually doesn't mean you're not in a calorie deficit anymore. Maybe you're just in less of a calorie deficit, or maybe you are in maintenance. But if you look at the big picture and you're in a calorie deficit 5 days of the week, 6 days out of the week, in the other day or two, or just at maintenance, that's still a net calorie deficit for the week. And if you stay consistent with that over time, weight loss will happen. And that's actually a great strategy, to give yourself a day or two each week where you're at maintenance or a slighter calorie deficit, versus the other 5 or 6 days in a little bit more of a calorie deficit. And that might make progress a little bit more, let's say, air quotes again, slower, but that's what also might be sustainable for you for the next 16 weeks, 20 weeks, where you can be consistent and make sustainable progress. So anyways, going back to the calorie range just adds a little bit more flexibility, where it's like, as long as you're within this range consistently and having the other days in moderation, the flexible days in moderation, you're going to be in a good spot. You're going to be in a spot that allows you to stay consistent and make progress. So typically what I'll do is take your goal body weight, whether that's 30 pounds down, 50 pounds down, 70 pounds down, and multiply it by 11.5. That's going to give you the bottom half of your range. Then take that goal body weight again and multiply it by 12.5. That's going to give you the top half of your range. So if I'm looking to drop down to, let's say, 200 pounds, what my calorie range would be 2,300 calories to 2,500 calories, because 200 multiplied by 11.5 equals 2,300. 200 multiplied by 12.5 equals 2,500. So again, take your goal body weight, multiply it by 11.5, and then by 12.5, give you two numbers, and that will be your calorie range you try to stick to consistently. Now, I know what you're thinking. Holy shit, Kev. That seems like a lot of calories. Why isn't it 1,000 calories? Why isn't it 1,200 calories? Why isn't it 800 calories? Well, here's the issue with most calorie calculators. Most of them are going to have you try to lose weight as quickly as possible, hence the 800, 1,000, 1,200 calories. They're not having you try to lose weight as sustainable as possible, which is the goal. The goal isn't to lose weight as quickly as possible. It's to lose weight as sustainable as possible. So you can lose it and maintain it and keep it off forever on ever, rather than doing the yo-yo cycling, doing the yo-yo dieting, where you lose a bunch of weight, then you gain it back, lose it, gain it. And typically when you jump right into food and fitness phase 2 here, and you're doing this extreme restriction with your calories, you're not learning any of the foundational work from the previous episode. So again, go back and watch it if you haven't already. But to lose weight once and for all, you got to go the sustainable route. You got to go slow and steady here. Slow and steady wins the race. And here's the other thing, to be blunt with you. These are all just starting points. No calculation is going to be 100% accurate. So just start with any calculation you want, whether it's mine or someone else's, and just make adjustments as you go. And a good rate of progress that is sustainable is anywhere from like a quarter a pound to, let's say, upwards of 2 pounds on average per week. And I say on average because you might lose 1 pound one week, 0 pounds the next week, lose 3 pounds the following week, gain a pound the next week, but stay consistent with it. If you're averaging anywhere from like a quarter pound to 2 pounds on week on average, and again, that also depends on how much you have to lose. Maybe a better way to say this is like a 0.25% to 1% of weight loss on average per week. But this will be sustainable. The name of the game here is sustainability. You want to be able to eat as much as you possibly can while also still making progress. Again, not to lose weight as quickly as possible, to make progress as fast as possible, but to lose weight in a way where you can lose it as sustainable as possible while eating as much as possible. And plus, with this style of a calculation, this will also allow for some more flexibility so you can still enjoy life while still making progress. So again, you can still have pizza night, you can still have date night, you can still celebrate your anniversary and have some desserts. You can go out on Sunday morning and get a donut with your kid. And these are the little moments and memories we can still create while also still improving our health and making progress with our fat loss goals. So just a quick recap on that. In order to lose weight, in order to lose fat, you have to be in a calorie deficit, eating fewer calories than you burn off. So now let's transition into the importance of protein. Why is protein so essential for fat loss? Well, one, when you are in a fat loss phase and you are trying to lose specifically fat, even though it's like we talk about weight loss all the time, but we're specifically trying to lose fat, protein is going to help preserve and build lean muscle mass. So when you are losing weight, when you are in a calorie deficit, and you are also eating enough protein, which I'll give you your calculation for protein in a bit, but eating enough protein, when the weight starts coming off, we are going to make sure that comes from your fat tissue, your adipose tissue, rather than your muscle. So you're in the calorie deficit, you're losing weight, you're eating enough protein while losing weight, so the weight is coming from your fat tissue. And that's one reason why protein is so important when it comes to weight loss, because specifically we want to lose fat when it comes to weight loss. And point number 2, when you are in a calorie deficit, hunger can sometimes happen. That's completely normal, right? Your body's used to getting a certain amount of calories each day, and now we're reducing that. But what we want to do is never get to a point where we feel ravenous, where we're ready to come home after work and raid the cabinets because our hunger is so high. It's so vicious. So what eating enough protein will do as well, or having a higher protein diet, it's going to increase your satiety. It's going to reduce the hunger feelings you get. With protein being the most satiating macronutrient out there compared to carbs and fats, it's going to help you stay full, and it's also going to help you stay full for longer, which will help you reduce and manage your appetite a little bit better and help manage your overall calorie intake each day, making it easier to stick to the deficit. And then my third point here is it's actually truly going to help boost your metabolism. It's not going to be any sort of magic wrap or magical weight loss, fat loss supplement that tells you it's going to ignite your metabolism and you'll be a superhero if you take this, taking over the world. No, protein itself, not sexy, but will boost your metabolism. So protein has a higher thermic effect of food, which is called your TEF, compared to fats and carbs. And your thermic effect of food refers to the amount of energy required or calories burned to digest and process nutrients in the food you eat. And the protein digestion process requires more calories to be burned. You're burning more calories while eating more protein, which will slightly boost your metabolism and again, assist in fat loss. So how much protein should you eat each day? So with protein, I give more of a minimum number. Like at the bare minimum, I want you to have this much protein today. Think of calories more of like a maximum. Your protein is going to be more of a minimum. So aim to get at least 0.7 grams per a pound of goal body weight. So for example, if I'm looking to again drop to 200 pounds, 200 times 0.7 equals 140. So my protein target minimum would be 140 grams of protein per day. And I just want to add this, a quick note here. Now, if I'm tracking my calories, calculating my calories, and as I'm tracking, I notice each day I'm averaging about 30 grams of protein per day. Going from 30 grams to 140 is honestly a very big jump. So I wouldn't actually, especially from a coaching standpoint, increase someone's calories that much overnight. But what I would do is say, hey, you're at 30 grams of protein per day. Now let's try to get 50 and then get comfortable, because that's going to be a little bit of change, which that little bit of change can still help make progress. But it's giving you a little bit of change to start to get familiar with and get more comfortable with. And then as you get more confident in your ability to get 50 grams of protein per day, maybe we increase that to 60 or 70 the next phase, and then to 80 to 90, and then to 100, and so on and so forth until you get to 140. So this is another important reason why to be patient with this game and to be patient with making these changes, because that's not going to happen overnight. But over the course of 6 months to a year, you're going to get more comfortable with hitting the appropriate protein target and making it part of your lifestyle. Again, small changes lead to big results. So again, if you're at 30 grams a day, bump it up to 40 to 50, then 60 to 70, then 70 to 80, so on and so forth. And as you get more confident with increasing it over time, your ability to stick with it and learn and educate what foods you got to be having, what more foods you got to be having, what changes you can make, what trade-offs you can make, will just help you feel more comfortable in the long run and make it a habit, make it a behavior that's part of your lifestyle. That's basically like second nature over time because you're getting so much repetition with it. So now to just recap protein for you, the benefits, it's going to help preserve and build lean muscle mass. So it's making sure we lose fat tissue and not muscle. 2, it's going to increase your satiety. It's going to help with hunger management. It's going to help you feel full and feel fuller for longer. And 3, it's also going to boost your metabolism. It having a higher thermic effect of food means it's going to burn more calories during the digestion process compared to fats and carbs. And again, you're having about 0.7 grams of protein per pound of goal body weight. All right, now let's transition to your workouts, more specifically to strength training, because I assume what you're looking for is a toner, leaner physique. Again, to lose muscle, not to lose muscle, to lose fat and build muscle, and to honestly probably feel like a total badass. That's where I encourage to start strength training. In addition to being in a calorie deficit and eating enough protein, strength training is going to be very beneficial for you reaching these body composition goals, as it is a very optimal way to help build and maintain muscle mass, get stronger, feel more fit, get more fit. So what I typically encourage anyone is to start off, if you're new to strength training, anywhere from 1 to 2 times a week. Again, get familiar with it, get used to it. If you are someone who has been consistently-ish strength training, maybe not consistently in it, but has strength trained before and have done it for years, maybe it's just been inconsistently, maybe you can do more of 2 to 3 times a week. A lot of the times we start to get right into strength training, and especially, it's the new year, so maybe we're telling ourselves we're going to go 5 or 6 times a week. But the problem is we're not consistent with 5 to 6 times a week. But what's going to be more optimal and get better results is if you're consistently training 2 to 3 times a week versus inconsistently 5 to 6 times a week, especially from a mental component. The confidence you're going to build from being consistent versus being inconsistent is going to be a big difference. A lot of the times we want to do more, and even if we're doing like 3 to 4, we're still impacting our mindset, sort of our confidence, because we're not fully keeping our promises we keep setting with ourselves. When you continue to break promises with yourself, you continue to break trust with yourself. Again, think about a friendship. I use the analogy in the foundation phase episode of your coworker. You tell them to put this report on your desk every Monday, but they give it to you every Tuesday or Wednesday. And even though they get it in, they're late with it. So you start to lose your confidence in their ability to get it in on that Monday. Same thing goes with yourself. If you're telling yourself you're going to do 5 to 6 times a week and you're doing like 2, 3, 4 inconsistently, probably, by the way, where you're like, you might have one week where you do 4 or 5, the next week you do none, the following week you do 2, the next week you do none, the following week you do 5, the next week you do 2. Like, there's this broken trust in yourself because you're not fully following through with the promises you're making yourself. So I rather see someone being consistent with 2 or 3 times a week than inconsistent with 4 or 5. But again, a good end goal for your strength training is to be in the gym anywhere from 2 to 5 times a week. Now, I know I'm talking a lot about strength training here. Yes, I'm a meathead at heart. I love the gym. I love deadlifting. I love bench pressing. I love squatting. I love bicep curls. I'm a meathead at heart. As I still believe strength training is going to be the most optimal for changing your physique, creating that toner, leaner look, again, on top of a calorie deficit and eating enough protein, the biggest thing is that you're doing something. You're doing something. You're moving your body, because at the end of the day, we are just really trying to take care of our health, to live a high quality life. So if you like to do some classes, if you like throwing in some yoga, if you like doing cardio, like running, cycling, if you like the elliptical, Stairmaster, things of that nature, then do it. Like, something over nothing is always going to be the best bang for your buck. And if you can enjoy what you're doing, you're going to stay consistent with it. But I'm going to give my last pitch here on selling you with strength training and the benefits behind it, the reasons why you should start lifting, even if it's 1 or 2 times a week. Again, like going back to, if you love doing Zumba classes 3 times a week, awesome. Maybe at least throw in 1 to 2 strength training sessions for 20 to 30 minutes a week, because there are going to be benefits that go over here that make it so valuable. So one, it's going to enhance your quality of life. Strength training can help increase your muscle mass and strength, improving your ability to perform everyday tasks, such as playing with your kids, lifting groceries up, picking the water up from the ground, the case of water up from the ground. Maybe it's playing in a rec league, a softball league, a kickball league, flag football league, whatever it may be. It can help enhance these little qualities of our life, not even little, but these qualities of our life that we enjoy and make such a big impact the way we live. 2, it's going to increase your metabolism. Just like eating protein, this also actually increases your metabolism. As you build muscle, having more muscle is more metabolically active than fat, meaning you're burning more calories just naturally at rest throughout the day with having a little bit more muscle, which again means a higher metabolism. 3, there's benefits from a mental health standpoint. It can help improve your mental health. It has shown to have a positive impact on mental health, reducing anxiety, depression, stress. I'll say this. Yes, I know people say the gym is my therapy. No, it's not. Therapy is your therapy, but the gym and exercising and lifting weights can be very therapeutic and can help relieve a lot of that anxiety you have, some of that depression, some of that stress you have. 4, it's going to help improve your bone density. This is a big one for older, elderly adults. One of the most common causes of death for elderly and older adults is falling over and breaking a bone, because what happens is they start to become immobile. They're not really moving their bodies. They're slowly, not to scare you, but it's like they're deteriorating. So strength training will increase your bone density, build stronger bones, and reduce the risk of osteoporosis and other bone-related conditions. So when and if you ever do fall, you'll be able to brace it and take on the impact, and your bones will stay strong and decrease your chances of breaking. And then lastly, number 5, I think this is number 5, but lastly, it increases balance. So having the proper strength and balance can, again, help decrease the chances of you even falling in the first place. So 1, if you have better balance, better strength, you'll have less chances of falling. But 2, if you end up having a fall or slipping, because it does happen, obviously, strength training is going to help you stay strong so you can brace for impact and not have any sort of injuries that can leave you being immobile. So another quick recap for you: strength training, anywhere from 2 to 4, 2 to 5 times a week. Again, obviously, like I said earlier, most important thing is that you're moving your body, your exercises, and you're training in a consistent way with something you can be consistent with. I'm still going to push you to do some strength training because there's a lot of benefits. It tends to be optimal here, especially if you're looking for a leaner, toner physique, but also the list of benefits I gave before as far as quality of life, metabolism, balance, bone density, mental health, but aim to get in the gym, aim to get some training in anywhere from 2 to 5 times a week. And like I said, if you're new to this, just get consistent with 1 to 2 days a week. And over time, have the end goal being in the gym anywhere from 2 to 5 times a week. All right, tip number 4 is get your ass moving. Get moving. So let's talk about NEAT. What is NEAT? So NEAT stands for your non-exercise activity thermogenesis. So simply put, it's the calories you burn through movement and activity outside of your gym session. So you'll have your 2 to 5 gym sessions a week, right? Maybe that's 2 to 5 hours a week, roughly. So everything outside of that is just your activity levels that weren't really prescribed or in the gym. So if we break it down, your daily impact or your daily movement can have such a big impact on not only your fat loss, but just your health, because we have 168 hours in the week. You train for 2 or 5 of those hours, that leaves you with about 163 to 166 hours, I believe, if my math is correct. I'm a big gym math guy, not a big actual math guy, so I can count by 45s, 25s, the barbell. Give me a plate, give me a weight to put on the barbell, and I'll get it with you in 10 seconds. Actually do it. I'll challenge me to that. I actually have no idea if I can, but we'll give it a shot. But anyways, 163 to 166 hours left in the week. And I know you work probably 40 hours plus of those weeks, 40 to 50 hours. You're sleeping hopefully another 56 hours, which is 8 hours roughly a day. But that still is going to leave roughly, if I remember correctly, like 60 to 70 hours of time to assess where can you incorporate more movement. Are you sitting at a desk all day and not getting up from it? What does your fitness tracker say? Every person in this world, I feel like, has a fitness tracker of some sort, whether it's an Apple Watch, a Garmin, a Fitbit, or something that sort of tracks their steps, right? Which is a great metric of your daily movement. What's that telling you? So a good end goal to work up to, especially if you are someone who calculates your steps, is 7,000 steps per day. Or maybe what you do right now, kind of going back to the protein example, maybe you notice you're getting 2,000 steps a day, 3,000 steps a day. Cool. Just increase it by 500 to 1,000. Get used to adding some time and intention behind getting the extra 500 to 1,000 steps a day. Get more confident in it, get more comfortable with it, making that unfamiliar a little bit more familiar, ingraining it as a habit, and then increase it again with the end goal of some point, maybe months down the line, of getting consistently 7,000 steps per day. Or maybe if you don't have a fitness tracker, or maybe you like this approach a little bit better, is just incorporate 1 to 2, 10 to 20 minute walks a day. So maybe you typically get up, get ready for work, go to work, you're sitting the entire day, come home, make dinner, sit down, have dinner, relax at night, go to bed, repeat. But start to incorporate a walk, maybe on your breaks at work, maybe before you go to work, maybe after work, maybe before breakfast, maybe after dinner. Just look at your schedule and see where you can start to incorporate more movement, because adding in more movement throughout the day can make just as probably a bigger impact than what you're doing in the gym. Again, you have about 60 to 70 hours outside of the gym, outside of life, where maybe you're sitting for a good chunk of those hours, or you're being very sedentary for a good chunk of those hours. Either increase your steps by 500 to 1,000 per day on average, or start to incorporate some more steps into your day by setting some time aside, 10, 15, 20 minutes on breaks and whatnot, so you can start getting a little bit more movement in. All right, point number 5, prioritizing your sleep. Sleep is your number one supplement. I know there's a million supplements that are super sexy, they're marketed in fancy ways and whatnot, and they're very appealing. But if your sleep's not in check, that is the number one supplement you should prioritize taking. You need to treat it like it's your best friend, especially when it comes to optimizing your weight loss, your fat loss, and training performance. So when Isaac the influencer, the Instagram influencer, tells you to sleep when you're dead, do me a favor and just tell him to politely fuck off. But when sleep is impacted, like when you are lacking sleep, it's going to impact your decision making. It's going to impact your recovery. Think about it. Like, you going to bed is like you plugging in your phone at night to recharge. But when you sleep, that's you plugging yourself in to recharge your batteries. So the next day, you can wake up with a little bit more mental clarity, a little bit more mental energy, a little bit more physical energy. When you're tired and cranky, that's when you tend to lean to making these more convenient decisions, these more comfortable decisions throughout the day. Half-ass workouts, not working out at all, not really getting in any daily movement. you're mindlessly snacking, you're ordering food from DoorDash Dan. So getting consistent quality sleep can really make such a huge difference into making choices that align with your goals, to keeping you on track with your nutrition and your training. But also, let's talk hormones. That's like a big topic lately. I feel like the last year or two, hormones, but it is important. But for these reasons, when it comes to your hormones and sleep, you have these two hormones I'm going to talk about. Ghrelin, which is your hunger hormone, which signals hunger. And you have leptin, which signals fullness. When you're lacking sleep and you're deficient in sleep, your ghrelin levels will actually increase and your leptin levels will actually decrease, aka meaning you feel hungry and hungry more often. So what I want you to do is just aim to get 7 to 9 hours of sleep a night. Make it a priority. Do what you have to do in order to get 7 to 9 hours of consistent sleep a night. Now, if you're a new parent watching this, you have toddlers, you're probably telling me to fuck off right now. Respectively, I deserve it. I get it. I don't get it. I don't have kids. Obviously, like I had the false alarm, as I said earlier in the podcast in the intro, but do the best with what you got. I get it. You have a different hand dealt right now. Do the best with what you got. I know you got humans to keep alive, to take care of, to feed, to make sure they're comfortable. So just do the best with what you got in that situation. But for everyone else, yeah, I'm talking to you. Aim to get 7 to 9 hours of sleep a night. So if you have to darken out your room, get some blackout curtains, cover all the lights in your room, keep the room nice and dark, keep it cool, roughly around, let's say like 67 degrees Fahrenheit, plus or minus a couple degrees. Shut down the phone, shut down the TV 30 minutes before bed. Get your internal get your internal bedtime clock in a rhythm, your circadian rhythm, meaning go to bed and wake up at the same times consistently each night. Avoid caffeine roughly about 6 hours or so before bed. Avoid alcohol consumption right before bed. Maybe it's time to invest in a quality mattress. I'm not really telling you how to spend your money, but I'm just saying you spend roughly 1/3 of your life on a mattress. So it's not a bad idea to invest in a high quality mattress. And if you need to before bed, you have a hard time unwinding, start doing some meditation, maybe some journaling, some deep breath work, diaphragmatic breathing, 5 to 10 seconds in, 5 to 10 seconds out. And that just puts you from a sympathetic state into a parasympathetic state, basically your fight or flight state into more of a calming state so you can relax and unwind. Sleep is your best friend. It is the number one supplement you should prioritize taking. 7 to 9 hours of sleep a night. New parents, just do the best with what you got. But just remember how important it is for your decision making by recharging your batteries, giving you mental clarity, physical energy, mental energy. And also remember what it does for your hunger hormones. If you are lacking sleep, hunger is going to increase, and it's going to increase more often. So it's going to help regulate those hormones to stay in check. So it's a little bit easier to stay in that calorie deficit. And now, all right, tip number 6. So I think we have 6, 7, and 8 left. So number 6. Now, honestly, with number 6, I could spend an entire podcast on this. It kind of goes back to the foundational work. And maybe what I'll do, if you're interested, leave a comment, send me a message some sort of way. I'll do a whole entire podcast on common psychological beliefs, managing stress, maybe a little bit more behind the emotional eating side of things. So send me a message, leave a comment on this podcast here, and just let me know, because that's absolutely something I would love to do and wouldn't mind doing. I think can give a lot of great insight. So number 6 is managing stress. Stress management is a crucial component of any successful fat loss journey. While many people focus on diet and exercise, remember I said that in a foundational episode, understanding that managing stress will make just as big, if not a bigger impact on your progress. One of the biggest reasons why stress influences fat loss is through the emotional eating, through the coping, a common stress response where individuals turn to food for comfort, for happiness, for joy, for pleasure, for entertainment. So when we feel stress, busy day at work, fight with a spouse, fight with a loved one, maybe your mom or dad said something to you that just pissed you off, and we have this sort of response in our body, which maybe leads us to emotional eating when we deal with these sort of pressures, the work pressures, the financial worries, the relationship issues. We respond by using food for comfort, again, for pleasure, distraction, entertainment, joy, happiness. We are using food as a way to cope with our negative emotions. And by the way, before I kind of continue on with this is the point I always make when it comes to looking at these sort of habits like emotional eating, because we tend to think they're a bad habit. We kind of beat ourselves up because of it. But what if you looked at this behavior as not a bad habit, but actually a good one? I get it. It may not be serving you anymore in this moment and where you want to go as far as your goals, but maybe for a reason, maybe for so long, this behavior was actually trying to help you. It was trying to protect you. It was helping you through these high stressful moments, these sort of maybe trauma moments you had in your life previously. So when you were in moments, maybe chronic moments of dealing with, again, trauma, stress, a lot of like anxiety, feeling overwhelmed, depression, whatever it may be, food was always there for you. It always brought you some sort of, again, pleasure. It brought you some comfort. But like I said, now it's just something where it no longer is serving you, and we want to change that. But I just want you to recognize that, like, hey, there was nothing bad about that. It was actually protecting us and training us in a way to help us out. But now let's take the appropriate steps to make changes, and maybe we make some switches there that can help fill those gaps. So what you first need to do is recognize the signs of stress and understanding what is your triggers, like what is causing you to cope with food. Is it something causing you sadness, anger, loneliness, fatigue, distraction, anxiety? And identify what the stressors in your life are. Maybe it's your boss, maybe it's a friend, maybe it's mom, maybe it's dad, maybe it's a family member, a sibling, a partner, maybe it's finances, maybe it's a mindset of perfectionism, maybe it's the future, your health, social situations. And what this is going to do is help you create awareness. By creating awareness, this helps you identify the triggers that possibly lead you to your emotional eating, to coping with food. In recognizing these feelings, you start to become more aware and more educated about yourself. And then once you are aware of it, once you're again sort of educated on what's causing this, what's triggering this, and you identify that, we can start to make a switching from emotional eating to another behavior that will help you manage your stress without the guilt or setbacks from overeating. So maybe you had a bad day at work. Your boss yelled at you once again. You come home after, where you typically go into the cabinets and start rating them. But instead, you can be aware of like, hey, I had a bad day at work. Boss was being a douchebag today, and I know I'm going home right now to raid the cabinets, but before I do that, I'm going to make this switch. I'm going to do some meditation. I'm going to go on a walk. I'm actually going to journal what I'm feeling right now. I'm going to create space for these emotions to deal with them versus suppressing them. And that's a big one. We as humans try to tend and suppress these emotions. We don't like that discomfort. We don't want to feel them. So we suppress it and distract ourselves with food. But give yourself space to feel these emotions. This is why journaling can be so popular. This is why meditation can be so popular. This is why therapy can be unbelievably healthy, which is my next point, is therapy. Therapy can help you develop healthier coping mechanisms, improve your emotional regulation, and enhance your overall mental well-being, because it provides a safe space for you to talk about and explore your thoughts and your feelings while also having someone understand you. I'm telling you, it has done wonders in my life. I've been going to therapy for like 3 to 4 years at this point, and the self-awareness, the growth I've been able to accomplish has been incredible. And it was even like things I wasn't even aware of. A lot of talking to little old Kev, making a lot of sense of why I maybe act or react the way I do now. And then finding those healthier coping mechanisms to deal with that sort of trigger or deal with that response to stress. So I hope this section was helpful. Again, we can maybe even get a little bit deeper into this with, like I was saying, common psychological beliefs we have, the all or nothing mindset, perfectionism, and diving more into like the specifics of these mindsets and beliefs we have. So again, another recap for you: stress management can make all the difference. Start to figure out where your stress is coming from, what the feelings you are feeling: sadness, anger, loneliness, tired, boredom, anxiety. And then also identify what the stressor is. Is it from your boss, a family member, a friend, a situation like finances? Is it a mindset thing? Is it about the future, your health? Whatever is the stressor that triggers the feeling, start to create insight on yourself. Create awareness, right? Get educated on yourself so we can start making the appropriate actions, the appropriate switches to choosing something that can help fulfill that sadness, our anger, our loneliness, our fatigue, so on and so forth. All right, number 7, igniting your metabolism. We have kind of already gone over this, a lot of the big points here as far as protein, daily movement, strength training, building muscle. But here's the thing. A lot of us think something's wrong with our metabolism. It's broken. And we think now that we're 40, 50, 60, that, I wish I just had the metabolism when I was 18, 20 years old. Well, here's the reality. Your metabolism doesn't decrease as much as you think it does. There's really not a huge change from 20 years old to 60 years old. And if you truly think there is something going on with your metabolism, you think it's actually broken, here's the thing. Don't listen to Isaac the influencer on TikTok and Instagram for your medical advice. Go see your doctor. Get it checked, get some blood work done, and find out the actual facts so they can give you the solutions or the proper answers so you can start to heal it and fix it. But I'd say for most of you, a good chunk of you, probably all of you, there's nothing wrong with your metabolism. It's not broken. But what does change is your lifestyle. You go from this active kid, from playing all these sports, doing all these activities, running around like crazy, to all of a sudden you're working behind a desk for an additional 8 hours a day, not really paying attention or being intentional about your nutrition, or maybe not going to the gym as much as you used to. So it's not that your metabolism changed, it's that your lifestyle changed. So let's quickly break down how your metabolism is broken down. Your metabolic rate is broken down. It's broken down into 4 components. You have your basal metabolic rate, also known as your BMR. That is 70% of the calories you burn in a day. And that is really what your body burns to keep the lights on. So if you laid in bed all day, for your body to stay alive, for you to stay alive, it's still functioning. Your heart's still beating, your lungs are still breathing, your brain's still working. So you are still burning a majority of your calories just at rest. Then you have your non-exercise activity thermogenesis. We went over this, your NEAT. That's going to be roughly about 10 to 15% of the calories you burn in a day. Now that will vary. Obviously, if you look at someone like an accountant who works behind a desk, their NEAT is going to be a lot less than someone who's like a construction worker, where their NEAT might be upwards of like 60 to 70% because they're so damn active for 10 to 12 hours of the day. But in general, a good percentage, roughly 15% of the calories you burn come through your NEAT. Then you have your exercise activity thermogenesis, also known as your EAT. And that's just your prescribed exercise, right? The 2 to 5 times you're going to the gym, the runs you're going on, the cycling, the HIIT class, the yoga, things you're doing for prescribed exercise. That is your EAT, exercise activity thermogenesis. And it's going to be roughly about 5% of the calories you burn. And then lastly, you have your thermic effect of food, TEF. 10% of the calories you burn in a day come through the digestion process, digestion and absorption. So that's why, again, it can be so valuable to have a higher protein diet, because your TEF is going to be higher, meaning you're going to burn more calories throughout the day because of it. So how you actually boost your metabolism is, again, you get more steps in, you get in more daily movement. 2, you strength train, you start building muscle. Muscle is more metabolically active than fat, meaning it is going to naturally burn more calories throughout the day, aka increasing your metabolism throughout the day. And then 3 is to eat dang protein. With protein being the highest thermic effect of food, it's going to require more calories to be burned to digest and absorb the nutrients. So you don't need any magical sort of metabolism supplements. You just need to have this sort of maybe reality check, this fact check on what you're doing, what you're not doing, and what you can start improving on. Can you get in more daily movement? Can you eat more protein? Can you start building a little bit more muscle? So check it out. Be honest with yourself. And again, make small little changes. Maybe it's doing 1 more workout a week. Maybe it's getting 1,000 more steps. Maybe it's eating 20 to 30 more grams of protein per day. And then lastly, tip number 8, which is not necessarily a tip, but it's going to be how I want you to track your progress. And we all use the scale, right? We use the scale, and it's what we think this sole metric that will determine if we're losing weight or losing fat. But I'm going to tell you this, it's overrated. Yes, it's helpful. It does give us data, but we have to look at the whole picture. When we look at the scale and it goes up a pound overnight, we think we're doing something wrong when you're not doing anything wrong whatsoever. The scale could have spiked up because Maybe you have more water retention. Maybe you ate a little bit more salt the day before, so you're holding on to more water. Maybe you had a hard workout, so your muscles are holding on to more water and nutrients, causing the scale to be up a pound, but it doesn't mean you gained fat. It just means there's more weight in your body. Vice versa. If you drank a bottle of laxatives right now, stepped on the scale, stepped off, and then shit your pants, like pooped everywhere, and then you weighed yourself again, you're going to weigh less. Not because you lost any fat, because you just emptied out your bowels and pooped a bunch. So when you use the scale specifically, you got to see how it trends over the course of, let's say, 4 to 8 weeks. That's typically a good timeline to see how it's trending. If you have a downward trend in your weight over that 4 to 8 weeks, what you're doing is working. There's progress being made. But day to day, even week to week, it's going to fluctuate. There are many reasons on why it fluctuates. So you got to look at it big picture here. But what I also want you to do is 2 progress pictures about every 4 weeks or so. Take progress pictures. Do a front, do a side, do a back picture, and update them every 4 weeks. And see if you're starting to see any more muscle definition, any more fat being lost, looking slimmer around the waist. Because if you are looking slimmer, if you are noticing fat is being lost, if you are noticing more muscle definition, and the scale doesn't really move all that much, well, guess what? You're still making progress because you can physically see your body is changing. It's changing in the direction you want it to change. So that is progress. Also, I do measurements around your waist, around your hips. And again, every 4 weeks, check them out. Because if you notice your waist or hips are going down in size, we have the data. Like that is physically showing you're getting slimmer, right? So again, if that scale doesn't move, but the sizes of the measurements go down, you're physically getting smaller. So what you're doing is working. So just keep going. And then another one I like to do, just kind of for fun, is to pick out a pair of clothing right now that is a little snug. It's a little tight. Maybe it's a pair of jeans. That's typically what I think most people like to use. Or maybe it's a shirt that's a little snug right now. And try it on right now. And then 4 weeks, try it on again. And keep trying it on every 4 weeks to see if it starts to feel a little bit more comfortable. Maybe it's feeling a little bit looser, because if it is, you are making progress. You know it's a little snug and a little tight right now. In 4 to 8 weeks from now, if you notice it's physically feeling looser, you're fitting into them easier. So obviously you're losing fat. You're getting a little bit leaner now because that fat's gone and now you can fit into this pair of clothing. So that's the physical way you're going to track your progress. From a scale standpoint, weigh yourself daily, but don't judge your progress until it's been like 4 to 8 weeks and seeing how it's trending over time. So if you look at all your data and you see this downward trend over the course of 4 to 8 weeks, cool. What you're doing is working. Progress pictures every 4 weeks. Compare them from last month to this month. See if you're noticing any more definition or if you feel like you're looking any more slimmer. Measurements, seeing if the measurements are going down every 4 weeks. And then that piece of clothing, just try it on every 4 weeks as well. But there's also another form of progress we want to track. Let's call it more of the mental progress, more of the personal growth progress, because this is very underrated. So this could be you are more consistent with your habits than you have ever been. Maybe you're typically 40% consistent with your habits, and now you're 70% consistent with your habits. That's progress. That's personal growth right there. Maybe you were someone who binged a lot and you're binging way less. Maybe you were binging 3 to 5 times a week, and now you've binged once in the course of 3 weeks, and that's progress in itself. Maybe it's more of a mindset thing. Maybe you typically have the donut and you feel guilty because of it. And so when you have the donut now, you actually don't feel guilty because of it. Or maybe it's even saying no to the donut so you can stay aligned with your goals. So saying yes to the donut is progress in some scenarios, but also saying no to the donut is progress in some scenarios. Maybe you notice your energy levels are improving, your mood's improving, you're getting stronger in the gym, you're building some muscle, your sleep's better, your cravings are down, your digestion's better, you're feeling more mental clarity, or maybe you're just feeling overall more confident. These are super underrated when it comes to measuring your progress, because the goal here is to be able to, yes, make the physical progress, but these mental wins, this personal growth wins, is what's going to help you keep the progress afterwards, to maintain the progress you do make. Being aware of the personal growth you are developing, getting this insight, is huge for your journey. So I hope that is helpful. And I hope this entire podcast was helpful today, because that is going to close things out. So I appreciate you once again. If you listen to this all the way through, it means the world to me. Again, as you know, the first episode, I think I said 1,000 times, I was nervous and excited, but this is something I'm really excited to kind of continue doing for a while. My goal this year is to put out at least 50 podcasts this year. I'm just kind of challenging myself to, I don't know whether to do 15 or 20 podcasts and then start doing some more interviews with other coaches, clients, whatever it may be, to help give some insight there as well. So thank you for following along. Thank you for listening. If you could do me a huge favor, if you have listened to this podcast or you listened to one of my other podcasts so far out of the 3 and you've enjoyed it, please leave a 5-star review. It would mean the world to me. And if you think they're terrible, just keep your opinion to yourself, because we don't need that kind of attitude here. We don't need that kind of energy here. So if you wouldn't mind, do me a favor, leave a 5-star review. If you have any questions, if you need anything, holler at me. Instagram at kpd.fit, email kpd at kpd.fit. You can leave a comment, I'm sure, here. I don't really know how comments work on podcasts yet, so I assume you can leave comments here. But I'm here to help, here to serve you, help out in any way I can. Remember, just eat the damn donut, and I believe in you. I appreciate you, and we'll talk soon.